The wind howled over the frozen plains of Velmara, sharp and wild, like a monster screaming in the dark. Snow blew in every direction, hiding the sky, the stars, and even the footprints behind the human rescue team. They moved slowly, heads down, faces covered, breathing hard through thick thermal masks. Their boots crunched deep into the snow, every step heavier than the last. Lieutenant Ryan led the small team of 4, his visor flickering with warning signs. "Signal's close," he said through the comms. 30 meters west, keep moving." The others followed Mira, the sharp-eyed scout, Juno, the heavy lifter, and Dale, the tech expert with the scanner pack. They had been searching for hours, chasing a weak and strange distress signal coming from this dead, icy world. No one lived on Velmara anymore. Not since the colony vanished 20 years ago. It was a ghost planet now. Cold and cruel, with nothing but snow, old ruins, and silence. Suddenly, Mira stopped, raising a hand. "Wait," she whispered, her voice tense. Everyone froze. She knelt down, brushing the snow with her gloves. A low sound came through the wind, a soft, broken cry. "Did you hear that?" she asked, eyes wide. "Scanner's going crazy," Dale said, checking his wrist unit. "Something's right below us, just a meter down." They started digging, fast and desperate. Their gloves tore at the icy ground. Throwing snow and frozen dirt aside, Ryan's fingers hit something soft. "Here!" he shouted. "Help me." They cleared the space around it, something smooth, round, not human. Then a face appeared, small, delicate, blue-skinned, with closed eyes and ice crystals on her lashes. It was an alien girl. She wasn't moving. "No." "Pulse," Mira whispered, touching the neck gently. "Still warm," Juno said, surprised. "She's barely hanging on." Dale opened his emergency kit, then swore. "Cold's killed the stim packs. Nothing's working out here." Ryan looked at the alien girl, then at the storm building again in the distance. "If we don't act now, she dies," he said. "But what can we do?" Mira asked, shivering. Ryan's voice was firm. "Body heat." They pulled off their outer coats and wrapped her inside them. Juno carried her in his arms while the others cleared a path to the old research dome nearby, half buried in snow. They forced open a door, stumbled into the frozen metal hallway, and sealed it behind them. Inside was dark, cold, and half broken, but it was better than the storm. They placed her on an insulated blanket, still wrapped in their coats. Juno and Mira lay on either side of her, sharing their warmth. Ryan lit a heat lamp from a backup power cell and placed it close to her face. The girl's lips were pale, her breathing shallow, her skin glowing faintly in the dim light. Hours passed. No one spoke much, just sat and watched her, waiting, hoping. Dale kept scanning her vitals, whispering updates. "Still low," he said, "but better than before." Then, without warning, she gasped. Her body shivered. Her eyes opened, wide and bright with golden light. Everyone leaned forward. She looked around in fear, trying to move, but too weak. "It's okay," Ryan said gently, holding up his hands. "We're not here to hurt you." She blinked slowly. Her mouth opened like she wanted to speak, but only a soft breath came out. Her gaze moved to Juno, to Myra, then to Ryan. Tears slipped from her eyes, freezing as they rolled down her cheeks. She reached out with a trembling hand, fingers glowing faint blue. Then she passed out again, breathing steady this time. "What just happened?" Mira asked, stunned. "I think she trusted us," Juno said softly. Ryan stood, walking to the broken window and staring out into the white, endless night. "This was no accident," he said. "She was left out there for a reason." Dale looked up, confused. "You mean someone buried her alive?" Ryan didn't answer, but deep down, they all felt it. This wasn't just a rescue mission anymore. They had found something bigger, something ancient, something alive, and now, whatever it was, had woken up because of them, because of their warmth. The air inside the half-frozen dome was still cold, but not deadly. The alien girl lay wrapped in layers of jackets. Her breath shallow but steady. A soft hum came from the portable heat lamp placed near her face, casting a pale glow across her strange skin. Juno sat beside her, arms crossed over his chest, trying to stay warm, but watching her closely. He had never seen anything like her, not just her blue skin or glowing markings, but the feeling she gave off. She looked so small, so fragile, but there was something heavy in the air around her. Like old memories or forgotten power, Mira opened meal pack and passed one to Ryan. "You think she understands us?" she asked quietly. Ryan shook his head, chewing slowly. "I don't know, but when she looked at us, it felt like she did." Dale was still messing with the scanner, frowning. "Her vitals are weird. I can't make sense of them, and those glowing patterns on her skin. They change when we touch her." Mira looked down at the girl, who was now breathing deeper, more stable. "She's not from any known species, right?" "Nope," Dale replied. "No records, not even close." The storm outside continued to grow louder, shaking the metal walls like a beast trying to break in. But inside, a strange calm was settling over them. Something in the girl's presence made them feel like they were not alone, even before she moved. Her eyes opened again, slowly, like she was waking from a long nightmare. Everyone froze. She blinked once, then twice, staring up at the cracked ceiling. Then her eyes moved and landed on Juno. She didn't speak, but her hand twitched toward him, weak but reaching. Juno leaned closer, whispering, "You're safe now, okay? We're not gonna hurt you." Her lips moved, forming soft sounds, not words, not any language they knew. But the tone was clear, confused, frightened, but not angry. Ryan crouched beside her, speaking slowly. "Can you understand me?" No answer, just wide golden eyes and a flicker of light running across her skin like living paint. Then something strange happened. She reached out again, fingers brushing Ryan's glove. As soon as they touched, a spark of light passed between them. Everyone gasped. Ryan pulled back slightly, but the girl didn't flinch. Instead, her eyes fluttered shut, and a soft voice echoed inside Ryan's mind, not spoken, but felt warmth. Human, not enemy. He fell backward in surprise. Breathing hard, "She spoke to me," he said, eyes wide. "How?" Myra asked. "Not with words, with feelings," he said, looking at his gloved hand. "She called me human. She knows what we are." The girl sat up slowly, weak and shivering but conscious. Juno held out a drink pouch, and she took it with shaking hands. Her fingers glowed brighter, now soft blue pulses moving up her arms. She drank slowly, eyes never leaving Ryan's face. Dale started recording everything, whispering into his mic. "Subject appears to respond to human presence with increased energy patterns, possibly telepathic. Response to physical contact." Ryan ignored him, kneeling again beside her. "Who are you?" he asked gently. This time, her voice came out cracked, soft but clear. "Kalari," she said. It wasn't just a name. It sounded like a memory, a loss, a weight carried for too long. Juno repeated it softly. "Kalari." She nodded once, slow and tired. "Sleep, deep." "Long time," she said, struggling with each word. Mira leaned in. "You were frozen how long?" Kalari looked confused, searching for the right words. "Light sky fall. My world break. Cold sleep." She pointed to the broken wall of the dome, then to the snow outside. "Buried," she whispered. Dale checked his wrist scanner again, confused. There was no crash site near here, no wreckage. Ryan stood, pacing. Slowly, what if she wasn't just buried in snow? What if something placed her there, like a survival pod? Juno asked. Ryan shook his head. "No, like a prison." Kalari tensed suddenly, body shivering. Her eyes darted to the door, glowing brighter. "Something bad," she said, pointing outside. "Coming?" Mira asked. Kalari didn't answer, but the fear in her eyes was enough. Ryan grabbed his rifle, checking the battery. Everyone stay alert. Something's not right. Outside, the storm howled louder. And in the distance, beneath the wind, there was a sound that didn't belong. A slow, deep rumble, like something massive waking up beneath the ice. Inside the dome, Kailari's skin began to glow again, brighter than before. This time, the light wasn't just from fear, it was from memory. She remembered what had been left behind, and now it was coming. The snow outside the dome had stopped falling, but the silence that followed was worse. It wasn't peaceful, it was the kind of silence that waits before something breaks. Kailari sat close to the heat lamp, eyes half closed, her breathing calm, but her hands clenched tight. The glowing lines on her skin had faded a little, but they pulsed faster every time she looked toward the door. Ryan stood near the broken window, watching the white horizon with narrowed eyes. Juno paced slowly, his heavy boots echoing across the metal floor. Mira kept her hand near her blaster, and Dale kept whispering to his wrist scanner. None of them spoke, but all of them felt the change in the air. Kailari finally stood up, unsteady but determined. She walked barefoot to the center of the room, her long pale hair drifting around her like mist. Then she knelt and pressed her glowing hand to the metal floor. Light spread from her palm, a slow ripple of blue moving through the old structure. What's she doing? Juno asked, stepping forward. Before anyone could stop her, Kailari spoke, calling. Memory. The floor beneath them shook, not from above, but from below. Ryan shouted, "Get back!" They jumped away as a section of the floor shifted with a hiss, then opened slowly, revealing a hidden passage. A staircase led down into the ice, narrow and dark, the air rising from it warm and damp. Kailari looked at them and whispered, "Ship." "Still there? A ship? Down there?" Dale asked, blinking. She nodded slowly. "My ship. My people. I must see." Ryan looked at the others, then back at the open stairwell. "If this is real, we need to know what's under there." He checked. His rifle turned on his shoulder light and led the way. Kailari followed, silent and calm. As if she had done this before, they moved carefully through the narrow tunnel. The walls lined with smooth, alien metal hidden under layers of frozen dust. The temperature grew warmer with every step, and soon they could see their own breath fading. Strange symbols glowed on the walls, same color as Kailari's skin patterns. It felt less like a ship and more like something alive, breathing beneath the ice. After what felt like hours, they stepped into a massive chamber. Their light stretched over a ship, long and curved like the bones of a giant sea creature. Its surface shimmered with crystal blue metal, cracked in places but still glowing with soft energy. "No way," Dale whispered. "This is ancient, like pre-human era stuff." Kailari stepped forward, walking slowly up to the hull. She placed both hands against the metal, and it responded. The ship came alive. Lights flickered on, doors slid open, and a low hum filled the chamber. A soft wind moved through the room, like the ship had just taken a breath after sleeping for years. "It listens to her," Mira said, amazed. Kailari turned to them, eyes glowing brighter. "Only heat wakes it. Only warmth." Ryan stepped closer to the entrance, hesitant. The inside of the ship was different walls curved like rivers. Panels shimmered like water, and everything pulsed with soft light. No seats, no controls, only flowing shapes and strange glowing pillars. "It's not just a ship," he said. "It's something more." They followed Kailari deeper inside, past empty rooms and crystal chambers filled with dust. In one room, they found rows of sleeping pods. Most were broken, others empty. Kailari stopped at the last pod and pressed her forehead against the glass. Inside was a figure like her, older, face peaceful, hands crossed. "My mother," she whispered. No one spoke, not even Dale. The silence was full of respect. Suddenly, Kailari stiffened, turning sharply. "Too late," she said, voice trembling. The lights inside the ship flickered. The humming deepened into a growl. "What's going on?" Juno asked, looking around. Kalari pointed upward, past the ceiling, past the ice. It felt me. It remembers. Ryan's voice was sharp now. What felt? You? Kalari walked toward the center of the room, placed her hands on a glowing pillar, and whispered. It was buried here too. Below everything, cold, hungry. It hates warmth. A deep rumble shook the chamber, followed by a cracking noise. Far above them, the storm didn't stop, Mira said, eyes wide. It just changed direction. Ryan looked at the ship, then back at Kalari. Can this thing fly? She closed her eyes. It needs power, needs life. One can give it some, but not enough. She looked at them with sadness. It needs you. The walls trembled again. Pieces of ice fell from the ceiling, and far above, something was moving through. The snow, something big, something ancient, and it was coming for them. Asterisk. The heartbeat of the ship was changing. The smooth blue walls now glowed in waves, slow and rhythmic, like they were alive and listening. Kalari stood in the center of the chamber, her hands glowing brighter than ever. Her breath was shallow, but her face was calm. The others stood around her, silent, trying to understand what was happening. Ryan stepped forward and touched the nearest wall. A pulse of heat ran through his fingertips. It wasn't just a ship. It was reacting to their presence, their warmth. Kalari, he said softly. What does it want? She didn't open her eyes, but her voice answered. Connection, he frowned. To what? To you. Above them, the walls creaked. Mira flinched, staring up at the ceiling. That sound again. She whispered, It's getting closer. Dale checked his scanner. It flickered with static unreadable. Whatever's out there is jamming everything, even our gear. Kalari opened her eyes and turned to them. Her gaze was not frightened. It was filled with knowledge. I wasn't just sleeping, she said. I was guarding. Guarding what? Juno asked, but he already felt the answer. The deep cold, she said, almost like a prayer. It was sealed long ago, under ice, under stone, even under memory. Ryan clenched his jaw. Why was it sealed? Because it consumes. She said, not just life, but heat, spirit, love. The room grew colder. Lights dimmed slightly. Kalari stumbled, and Juno caught her. I gave the ship my warmth, she whispered, but it needs more. Or it can't fly again. What do you mean? Dale asked. Like energy? Fuel? Kalari shook her head. Not fuel. Life. There was silence. No one moved. No one spoke. But they all understood what she meant. The ship was powered by something different. Not engines, not batteries. It needed something alive, something that gave off hope, strength, and human feeling. It needed them. Ryan took a deep breath. We'll give it what we can, he said. He removed his thermal gloves and pressed both hands to the glowing wall. A shock ran through him, not pain, but memory. He saw flashes of stars, battles, sorrow. Kalari's people falling in the snow, a final stand, a last breath. Mira stepped forward and joined him, followed by Juno and Dale. One by one, they pressed their hands to the ship. It responded. The hum grew louder, warmer, the air filled with golden mist as the walls brightened. Kalari smiled through her tears. You are light, she whispered. Outside, the ground cracked. A long, deep groan echoed through the frozen crust above. Something huge was pushing upward through the ice. A dark shape, slow but unstoppable. The deep cold was waking. Inside the ship, the controls shifted. A central platform rose from the floor, shaped like a flower opening. Kalari moved toward it, her body glowing from within. She placed her hands on it, and the ship began to rise. Not into the air, but in spirit. The whole structure vibrated, as if it remembered how to live. Crystals along the walls flashed in strange patterns. Alien symbols danced across the ceiling like stars rearranging themselves. Suddenly, Dale gasped. Look at the pod wall. They turned. The sleeping chambers, once dark, were glowing. Not all of them, just a few. Inside, shadows stirred. Not Kalari's people, But something else. Mira stepped closer and saw her own reflection in the curved glass. But it wasn't a reflection. It was her, inside the pod, asleep, breathing slowly. She stepped back, heart racing. What is this? Kalari answered softly. The ship. It remembers you now. Ryan touched another pod, and the same thing happened. A sleeping version of him appeared inside. Peaceful and calm. It's storing our warmth, he whispered. Our essence. It will carry you, Kalari said, if you fall above them. The ice cracked again, louder now. Dust rained from the ceiling, and the air shook. The deep cold had arrived. Ryan grabbed his rifle, eyes focused. Get ready, whatevers. Coming. We hold it off while she powers the ship. No, Kalari said. The ship is almost ready. But only if we survive. Her hands moved across the glowing petals of the control flower. A wave of warmth flowed through the chamber, pushing back the cold, but it wouldn't last long. Then they heard it, a sound like breath made of ice slow. Rattling hateful, from the shadows beyond the stairwell. It came, not a beast, not a machine, but a living emptiness, a shape of black frost and moving cracks. It had no face, no name, just cold. The deep cold had found them. The temperature dropped fast. The warmth inside the ship began to flicker like a dying flame. Kalari gripped the control platform, her body tense, sweat on her glowing skin. Outside the chamber, something scraped against the frozen tunnel wall slow. Sharp, heavy, each sound made the metal around them groan, like it remembered fear. Ryan raised his rifle, heart pounding. His breath turned to mist with every exhale. The light on his visor dimmed, glitching from the extreme cold. Whatever was coming wasn't alive in the way they understood life. It's in the corridor. Mira whispered, stepping beside him, weapon ready. She didn't blink, eyes fixed on the dark entrance. Dale crouched near the crystal wall, holding his scanner like a shield, though it was useless now. Readings are wrong, he muttered. It's like it's pulling heat from the air itself. Juno placed himself between Kalari and the door, his back straight, eyes locked. If this thing wanted her, it would have to go through him first. Kalari looked at all of them, her voice weak but steady. It remembers warmth. That's why it comes. That's why it hates you. Then it entered, a tall, jagged shape like a walking crack in reality. Its skin was black frost, sharp and shifting, like shattered glass floating in air. It had no eyes, but they felt it watching. It stepped forward, and the heat vanished from the room like a candle. Blown out, Dale collapsed to one knee, shivering violently. Mira's hand shook, but she held her aim. Ryan fired. The bolt hit the creature's chest and vanished in a hiss of steam. No wound, no scream, just silence. It raised one long arm and pointed toward Kalari. The lights in the room dimmed again. Kalari gasped, falling to her knees. The ship. It's weakening. I can't hold the power. Juno rushed forward, swinging a heat baton at the creature's side. It struck, and for a moment, the frost hissed and cracked. The thing recoiled slightly, and everyone saw underneath the frost. It was hollow, a shell filled with nothing, but it wasn't dead. It turned on Juno, lifting both arms. A shockwave burst outward, slamming him into the far wall. He groaned but didn't move. Juno! Mira shouted, running to him. Ryan dropped to a crouch beside Kalari. What do we do? You said it needs warmth, right? She nodded, eyes full of pain. It fears love, fears fire of the heart. But I'm too weak now. Ryan looked at Myra, then at Dale, who was trying to stand again. I need you both to get to the core chamber, he said. Why? Mira asked, helping Juno up. I've got an idea, Ryan said. Pulling off his chest armor, he placed Kalari's hand over his heart. I'm going to give it something it's never felt before. The creature moved closer, slow and endless. Every step made the ship shiver. Ryan stood tall, his body trembling from the cold. He closed his eyes and thought about Earth, about sunlight, about laughter, about warmth. He remembered his sister's smile, the beach, the first time he held a real fire in his hands. He thought about Kalari, about saving her, about protecting something fragile and strange and beautiful. His skin began to glow faintly, not like Kalari's alien light, but something human, something deep. The creature hesitated. It stepped forward again, then stopped. Steam rose from the floor beneath Ryan's boots. Kalari cried out. He's burning his own warmth. Ryan opened his eyes and smiled. Yeah, he said. Let's see how much it can take. The frost creature lunged. Ryan ran forward, arms wide, shouting like a flame. He collided with it full force, and a burst of golden light exploded through the chamber. Heat rushed outward, knocking everyone to the floor. The creature screamed not with sound, but with cracking and splitting. Its body shattered piece by piece, melting, burning, fading. Ryan fell to the ground, unconscious, smoke rising from his chest. Kalari crawled to him, pressing her glowing hands to his heart. He gave too much, she whispered. But not all. The ship responded again, brighter this time. The platform pulsed, and Kalari poured her own warmth into it. The ship came to life, fully awake. Above them, layers of ice cracked open. Mira pulled Juno and Dale to their feet. The ship shook, not from fear but from power. The deep cold was gone, but they had all paid a price. Kalari turned to them, her voice full of light. The ship is ready, she said. But are you? Asterisk. The sky above cracked like glass. Sheets of old ice split open as the alien ship roared with new life beneath the snow. For the first time in centuries, warmth spread through the frozen tunnels of Velmara, but inside the ship, the crew wasn't celebrating. They were kneeling around Ryan's still body. His skin was pale, his lips nearly blue. But Kalari's glowing hands pressed against his chest, refusing to let go. Come back, she whispered, voice shaking. You gave your warmth, now take mine. She leaned close, her forehead touching his. A single golden tear rolled down her cheek and vanished into his skin. Juno looked away, jaw tight. He stopped that monster, he muttered. He shouldn't die here. Myra's hand gripped his shoulder. He didn't die, not yet, a faint pulse answered. One beat, then another. Ryan coughed sharply, his body jerking as air returned to his lungs. His eyes fluttered open, unfocused but alive. Kalari gasped and smiled, tears glowing on her cheeks. You came back. He blinked slowly, then managed a weak smile. Told you. I wasn't done yet, the ship responded instantly. Lights glowing bright and steady. Crystals hummed as energy pulsed through the core. The structure shivered as ancient systems reactivated. Above, the ceiling shifted, forming an opening like a blooming flower. The stars appeared, cold and distant, but no longer unreachable. Dale stood up, staring at the ceiling. The ship. It wants to leave. Kalari helped Ryan sit up, her hand still holding his. It remembers how to fly, but it needs a guide. Juno stepped forward, wiping blood from his temple. Then let's guide it. Kalari moved to the center console. Now fully awakened and glowing like a heart, her fingers brushed across its surface, and the entire ship responded. Panels shifted, light wrapped around them, and suddenly the metal floor beneath their feet felt lighter. The ship began to rise, slowly at first, then faster. Snow and ice peeled away as it lifted through the ancient tunnels and burst into open sky. The frozen world below shrank beneath them, a dead memory melting in their wake. They broke through the clouds, and for a moment, everything was quiet. No monsters, no frost, just stars. Ryan leaned back against the wall, breathing slow and steady. I didn't think I'd see this again, he said. Kalari sat beside him, her body dimming softly now that the ship was flying. You helped it remember, she said. Now it will carry you. But the peace didn't last, Dale pointed to a display window, where strange signals pulsed like broken warnings. There's something out there, he said. A beacon. Maybe a trap. Mira stepped beside him, eyes narrowed. Or survivors. The ship turned smoothly in the direction of the signal. Kalari frowned, her voice lower now. This part. I don't remember. Juno tightened his gloves. Then. We find out together. As they approached the source, a massive structure came into view, hidden behind a cloud of drifting ice. It wasn't natural. It was built, old and broken, shaped like a massive ring wrapped in dark cables. In its center floated another vessel, much smaller, barely active. No life signs, Dale said, scanning. But someone left this here on purpose. The alien ship slowed, gliding silently around the ring. Inside the smaller vessel, something moved to just a flicker, barely visible. Mira narrowed her eyes. Did you see that? Kalari's expression turned serious. We're not alone anymore. Ryan forced himself to stand, leaning on the wall. If someone's watching, we should show them we're not afraid. He looked around at his crew. No running, he said. Not after everything we just survived. Kalari stepped to his side, her eyes glowing faintly again. You have changed this ship, she said. And it has changed you. The glowing symbols along the walls rearranged themselves. Words appeared written in no language they knew, yet somehow understood. Trial passed, fire rekindled. Next path opens, Juno muttered. That sounds like a challenge. Kalari smiled faintly. No. An invitation. The ship turned once more, silent and powerful. Behind them, Valmara grew smaller, disappearing into the cold void. Ahead, a door of stars was beginning to open, and something, or someone, was waiting on the other side. Asterisk. The stars ahead were no longer still. They moved, shifting into a perfect circle, glowing brighter than any sun. A gate made of light opened in the middle of space, wide enough for the alien ship to pass through. No engine fired, no sound echoed. But the ship obeyed, drifting forward like it had waited centuries for this moment. Inside, the crew stood quietly, watching the impossible unfold. Ryan stood beside Kalari, one hand gripping the railing for balance, his body still weak, but his eyes sharp and full of fire. What is that place? He asked. Kalari didn't answer right away. Her voice came soft, like she wasn't sure. It's not a destination. It's a memory. Mira watched the lights dance across the walls. They built this? Kalari nodded slowly. My people did. Before the deep cold, before silence, Juno leaned forward, staring out the window. But why build a gate that leads to memory? Kalari's expression shifted, eyes full of something between grief and hope. Because memory is where the soul waits. The ship passed through the gate, and everything changed. They were no longer flying in space around them. The stars melted into a field of glowing energy. Shapes floated cities, people, creatures, echoes made of light and thought. Not real, but not false either, Dale whispered. Are we inside a mind? Kalari touched the glowing panel beside her. No. We are inside a choice. A voice echoed through the ship, not hers, not human. It was deep, warm, old. You have awakened the warmth again. You carry what was lost. You burned against the dark and survived. Ryan stepped forward, speaking clearly. Who are you? The voice answered, we are what came before, and what remains after. You are the spark. Now choose. The ship slowed, hovering above a glowing platform made of light. A beam stretched down, leading to a place below. Kalari turned. To the humans, her face calm but serious. This is where we part. No, Juno said, stepping forward. You're one of us now, she smiled at him. But her head gently shook. No, I am of this ship. I belong to what it protects. She looked at Ryan, her voice soft. You gave me your warmth. I give you the ship. Everyone froze. You're leaving? Ryan asked, his voice low. She nodded. The ship is alive now because of you. It will follow your heart, not mine. Mira stepped closer, her voice uncertain. What about us? What happens when we leave this place? Kalari pointed to the window, where the gate slowly began to close. This is your gift, she said. A path forward. To awaken other flames. She stepped into the beam of light, her body glowing. Fully now, around her, the walls sang not in music, but in feeling, joy, sorrow, peace, rebirth. As she faded into the light, her voice echoed one last time. Thank you for saving me. Thank you for remembering warmth. The beam vanished, and the ship turned on its own, steering toward the stars beyond the gate. This time, it needed no command. Ryan looked at his team, Myra, Juno, Dale still stunned, still quiet. He placed a hand on the console, feeling it pulse beneath his palm. She's part of the ship now, he said. Dale nodded. And we're its crew. The stars ahead stretched wide and open. Worlds unknown waited in the distance. The deep cold was behind them, sealed forever beneath a dying planet. But their journey had just begun. The ship's voice echoed gently. Course set. New. Warmth detected in Quadrant 13. Mission. Continue the light. Ryan smiled. Let's go light some fires. And with a soft hum, the ship vanished into the stars, carrying 4 humans, the last echo of a long-lost race, and a new purpose, not to destroy, not to conquer, but to warm the galaxy, one soul at a time. The end asterisk.